Hey, welcome everybody, and thank you for taking some time out of your calendar today to learn a little bit more with us about modern order to cash cycles within Oracle Cloud, and how we can use the Oracle Cloud features to shorten the order to cash cycle. The webinar is hosted today by Orbrick, and your presenters are myself, Victoria Collier, and Bhumish Padshah. So Bhumish is a principal consultant with Orbrick, specialising in ERP and the order to cash cycle. I myself have worked for a number of years in the Oracle industry, so helping lots of organisations with their Oracle transformation and their finance optimisation programs. Before we start the actual content, I'm just going to tell you a little bit more about Orbrick. So Orbrick are a management consulting firm, and their focus is sort of organisational transformation underpinned by ERP excellence. Now, Orbrick are Oracle specialists, but they come at this from a slightly different angle. So they are 100% Oracle specialists across the full Oracle Cloud suite. So if you did need an organisation to support you with an implementation or improvement in any of the Oracle modules, they can absolutely help you. But actually their passion is about optimising the value that you get out of your Oracle implementation. And that means that they want to make sure that they're working with you in a purposeful way, so purpose-driven, using things like system thinking, so design thinking led, but then also leveraging a lot of their own solutions that they have that enhance the Oracle suite of cloud products with AI augmentation. And I can tell you a little bit more about those shortly, but if we move on, please, Bhumish. So from an Orbrick perspective, they've spent many, many years understanding the Oracle suite, but they also understand the business side of that as well. So it's not just a case that they understand how Oracle financials work, they understand how a business needs to optimize its finance and back office operational processes in order to meet their business objectives. In order to help organisations in achieving these outcomes, they've produced a number, like a methodology effectively, that focuses on a range of components of a business analysis review. So effectively, they've got solutions that will come in at the very early stage of, I've got some problems, but I'm not entirely sure what they are. Can you help us to understand what the problems are? So that would be their foresight solutions. But then they also have solutions that will help them to, once they understand the problems, actually create a value realization program that then they can use their Oracle skill set to help you make that a reality, and that's their second sight solution. But then they also have solutions that will actually support you throughout your entire life cycle with Oracle. So once you're live with Oracle, then you need to make sure that you're continuously leveraging the new features, the new releases, and making sure you're really sweating that asset. And in which case they have their Evolve managed service program, which isn't just about supporting the system, it's about making sure that your business evolves along with the Oracle Cloud Suite. A lot of those principles will sit behind any of the webinars that you join for Orbrick. So in any of the solutions that we take you through on any of our sessions, there's always an element of, yes, we understand how the Oracle product works, so we can advise you on how to best leverage its features, but we also understand how your business needs to work in order to achieve the outcomes that you've set out in your business plan. So we'll move on now, and we're going to start to talk you through a case study shortly. But before we do step into the case study, I want to just explain a little bit more the logic behind why Orbrick have established themselves as they are. And that's because after spending many, many decades working and supporting lots of customers with their Oracle transformations, what they kept realizing is that, right, we're implementing the solution, but actually we're finding that once it's been implemented, there's still a long way for the customers to go in order to achieve the real outcomes that they're looking for. And if you look at some of the stats on the screen, so for example, Boston Consulting Group, their research has shown that 52% of companies fail to achieve the expected return on investment from digital transformation. And that's often the case in our experience, because once you've got through that initial hurdle of, right, we're live now, there isn't the continuous improvement funds in place or resources in place to keep that journey going. There's another one here with 63% of users feel that ERP systems become just a data entry tool as opposed to a business optimization tool. And that's because it becomes all about have we put the information in the system, but what we're not actually doing is leveraging that information that we could then get out of the system in order to make the right decisions and to optimize the processes. And we're going to talk you through a case study right now. So this is an organisation called Greystone. So and Greystone were having some problems with their order to cash process and effectively trying to make sure that their cash conversion cycles were optimized, and that they were effectively making sure that their cash was working in the best way it could for them. So rather than having the cash sat in the bank where it's not doing anything, it's about understanding how we can continuously use that cash to bring in products that we can then pass on to our customers, but making sure that we have a conversion cycle that doesn't mean that we're short on cash or that we've got too much cash sat in the bank not being leveraged unless we have another purpose for it. So before we go in and talk about Greystone, we're just going to give you a couple of industry standard examples here, just as a benchmark. So the two examples we've got are Amazon and Walmart. So if you look at the little chart in front of us, you'll see that Amazon and Walmart's cash conversion cycles were up pretty good as an industry standard, and actually in some respects we have a negative cash conversion cycle. So if you look at Amazon's, they're at minus 30 days to minus 50 days, and that must be a little bit confusing. How can you get a minus cash conversion? But that's effectively if you manage to negotiate really good payment terms with your suppliers, you can end up in a situation where you're actually getting the cash in from your customers for goods and services before you have to pay your suppliers. So that actually means that you're paying for the equipment or the goods or services with your customers' money and not using your own money that's sat in the bank, which is actually a really efficient way of doing it, as long as you're managing the relationship with your suppliers really well. And if we look at Walmart's, they've got a very stable cash conversion cycle ranging from 0 to 10 days. So that's still pretty good. So while they're not necessarily using their customers' money to pay for the goods and services before they sell them, they've actually got such a good payment terms in place that they're actually managing to not be sat there with that burden for too long, so it's not too stressful for them. Sadly, in the beginning when we started talking to Greystone, that wasn't the case. And if we could move on, please, Boomish, then yeah. So Greystone had implemented Oracle Cloud, but they were finding it very difficult to actually use the tool that they'd implemented to improve their cash conversion cycle. So the CFO was basically saying that it's not aligned with the working capital goals, and that they were way below the industry benchmark, hence why we showed you the Amazon and the Walmart benchmark just a moment ago. And the receivables manager was effectively saying, you know, the collection department, so this is the sort of credit control department who are making sure that they're receiving the money in from customers and that's being processed, and we've not got lots of aged debt. They keep sort of following up on pending invoices, but they're not sure for the reason why the collection delays are in there, and they wasn't sure why they were getting the challenges they were with getting the receipt for the invoices. So that's when Orbrick came in. So Orbrick's role was to, so they knew that they had a problem. They knew that they had a challenge with the cash conversion cycles and with the sort of pending invoices and receipting process, credit control. They didn't know what the root cause of that was, and that's where Orbrick come in. So if we could just move on to the next slide, please, Boomish. So Orbrick's come in and using one of their, as part of their methodology, they would have undertaken a piece of work to do the initial investigation to understand what the root cause was. Now, I don't want to steal Boomish's thunder because Boomish is going to talk you through the process by which they solved a lot of these problems. But what I will do is I will take you to the end of the journey and tell you what they achieved, and then Boomish can take you through the methodology and the process that was used to get there. So effectively for Greystone, the target was that we got to 40 days sorry, when we walked in, we started with a 62-day cash conversion cycle, and then the target was to get to 40 days. And Orbrick managed to get them to 38 days, which was below the target, which was really, really good. And also showed a 24-day improvement. Now, for anyone who's responsible for cash management and for the strategy of working capital and how you achieve the goals, you'll know that that was no small feat, and that Greystone were very, very happy with the outcomes. What that also meant is that they were able to unlock 1.64 million of cash flow. And obviously, once you unlock that capital, you can then leverage it and invest it in other areas that can help you achieve your business goals. So I think we're possibly about ready to hand over to Bhumish. But Bhumish, is there anything you want to add before we start talking about the solution?
Yeah, thank you, Victoria. So definitely, we completely understand the issue, and based on my 10 years of global experience with multiple entities in this domain, they face this similar kind of issue. There are other issues as well, such as customer delight, DPO optimization, among other, which Greystone was also experiencing. However, generally the business fails to get the right return on their strategic investment, which they have made to implement Oracle Fusion, as rightly highlighted by Victoria. Just to deep dive into the issue a bit, so Greystone is in the manufacturing business who are using Oracle Fusion for more than 1 year now, but still they are not able to use it optimally and get the desired result. Orbrick has detailed discussion with the leadership team and the actual users to understand the challenges and bottleneck which the Greystone was facing, along with the root cause of that. The system should not just be the data entry system, but it should give the right insight which is required by the business for informed decision making. Here, as I mentioned, the business is facing multiple challenges, but first they want to focus on the cash conversion cycle, as working capital is at the core of any business. The insight that we got from the leader is that the DSO is quite higher than the industry benchmark, as we have just seen. Further, secondly, on the customer front, as the business team is getting multiple inquiry calls from the customer, which also results into frequent friction, as the invoices which are already paid by the customer still shows as open. As these two areas were critical for Greystone, the organization decided to prioritize them to achieve visible improvement. We collaborated closely with their team to identify the root cause of the challenges and leverage our proprietary tools to design a tailored solution which is best suited to Greystone's need. However, this focused approach enabled us to deliver the outstanding result and measurable business impact. Achieving this particular result, the leadership team has actually expressed a strong satisfaction with the result, as they have observed a significant improvement in DSO, which is a critical component of the cash conversion cycle and overall business. As this improvement has not just strengthened the liquidity but also reflected the tangible success of the solutions which are implemented to address those bottlenecks. Initially, Greystone's cash conversion cycle, particularly the DSO, was considerably above the industry benchmark. Through process optimization and automation, we were able to reduce the DSO significantly. Now, let us deep dive into this in detail. So, firstly, to talk about the second site, which is one of the core service. Yeah. So, as of now, in our library, 70 plus outcomes are already listed and it is evolving. We have persona specific programs such as DSO, DPO optimization for CFO, then accelerated hiring cycle for CHRO, strategic spend and control, optimize inventory turnover for procurement officer, so on and so forth. In this program, we evaluate the business processes around outcome to identify the real challenge and improve them. Not only that, when business come with their own problem statement, then we work with them to identify the real challenge and implement the solution around it. We analyze the data based on this six particular lens to do the comprehensive analysis, which are process quality, process modernization, risk and governance, AI enablement, and efficiency. So combined observation of this particular six lenses help us to do the comprehensive analysis of any business process through which we can give the right fit solution to the business. Yes. N- Talking about this value realization in action. So first to start with the identify stage. Based on our rich industry experience, we have identified 70 plus outcomes, specifically catering to CFO, CHRO, CO, CIO, basically a C level executive, such as next gen receivable, inventory optimization, DSO optimization, so on and so forth. It is one of the business consulting service of Orbrick where we perform this entire process to improve the outcome. Our ultimate aim is to do the value realization for the investment made by the customer so that they achieve the full value of the money invested during the implementation. For this entire cycle, we have various proprietary tools which we are going to see further, which provides the result quickly ranging from few minutes to few hours and few days for any specific outcome which is meant to be used by our consultant. For Greystone, as the business mentioned, we are solving the bottleneck related to the cash conversion cycle, specifically for the DSO, which is significantly higher than the industry benchmark. Okay. Now, talking about the next stage, which is Inspire. In Inspire, we are leveraging our proprietary tools and extensive consulting experience. We compared Greystone business process against industry benchmark and presented the insight to their leadership team. The tools are fully GDPR compliant and store only the minimal data which are required for the analysis. Based on the assessment process, maturity is categorized into these three stages, which is liftoff, ascent, and orbit. Liftoff being a basic stage, ascend a bit advanced, and orbit being a mature stage, helping organization to clearly understand their position and define a roadmap for their improvement. The next stage, which is ideate and improve. So within this particular ideate and improve stage, this particular approach focuses on identifying the most suitable solution to improve the desired business outcome. Depending on the business requirement, this may involve leveraging different solutions such as Oracle standard functionality, implementing new module, utilizing Orbrick proprietary tools such as Orbrick, deploying an AI agent, or a combination of thereof. As there is no single fit solution for each and every need, here in the ideate and implement phase, we identify the issue along with the root cause and further design the solution in the implement and iterate phase. Now, to talk about the implement and iterate, the identified solution will be implemented using the purpose methodology with a strong emphasis on continuous monitoring in the iterate phase. Continuous monitoring remains at the heart of the business process improvement, ensuring sustained performance, timely course correction, and ongoing value realization. Now, we will see how we have followed this particular cycle at Greystone to identify the bottlenecks that are existing in their order to cash cycle and how that is resolved, what are the RCAs, and how the solution has resolved that. Here in the Inspire stage, now let us see how that in Inspire within few minutes we can analyze the business process and compare them with the industry benchmark to provide the right insight. inspire phase typically constitute these three things. So the inspire phase focus on analyze the current business process through key aspect, which is consulting, tools, and user interviews. The proprietary tools used in this phase are designed exclusively for our consulting team to analyze the business process and uncover hidden insight within few minutes, hours, and days. They are not customer facing and are fully GDPR compliant, ensuring data privacy and security. The process begins with a detailed assessment using our analytical tools to identify the potential inefficiency and performance gaps. This is followed by structured interviews with the user to validate the finding and understand the root cause of the issue, forming the foundation of targeted solution. So here we extracted key information related to order to cash cycle process from Greystone and analyze it using our process mining tool. To reiterate, this tool is used exclusively by our consulting team, provides rapid insight into the transactional data, and highlight process bottleneck within minutes. Through this analysis, we uncovered several valuable insights that help us understand at a high level the underlying reasons why Greystone's cash conversion cycle, particularly DSO, was not optimized, and why a significant number of invoices continue to appear as open though the customer has paid money against it. We can evaluate the entire process in few minutes using the process mining. Let me play a quick video for this particular process mining. So as we can see over here, the invoice creation to invoice communication is taking around 9 to 10 days. Further, once the invoice is communicated, that is the collection cycle takes about 63 days, which is quite high. Once the customer gives the money, the receipt creation to application to actual invoice is taking more than 17 days. Considering this three, we can conclude that their order to cash cycle is not optimized. And the process mining has given us a fair idea that where we need to dig dive to understand the bottleneck and issue in detail. Once we have understood the high level, or once we get the high level idea using the process mining tool, now it's time to go into a bit detail. After completing the initial process analysis, we have decided to conduct a more detailed assessment to gain deeper insight within this particular bottleneck. For this purpose, we utilize Foresight, again, which is our proprietary tool designed to analyze against the benchmark business processes, specifically focusing on the invoice and receipt against the industry cycle and the receivable part. Foresight is equipped with over 75 pre-configured outcome, enabling rapid assessment and detailed evaluation within minutes. We executed the analysis using Foresight, which allowed us to quickly validate Greystone's process and identify the precise area of improvement. As you can see, the Foresight report will give the value realization. Let me play a quick video and we'll talk about it. So here we can see we need to provide the Fusion instance details and credential for which we need to run the report. Once the Fusion details are provided, we can select the individual outcome. As mentioned, Foresight is equipped with over 75 pre-configured outcome ranging from DPO, DSO, inventory, hiring cycle, so on and so forth. Once we have selected the outcome, which is next gen receivable and efficient DSO, as Greystone is facing the issue with DSO, now the report is generated. So as we can see, it starts with the executive summary. It also provides the areas where we need to focus more. Apart from that, the important part is provides the cash flow which can be unlocked if these areas which are currently in the bottleneck can be optimized. So it also provides that particular cash flow which can be unlocked and deployed as and when needed in the business. On an overall basis, it provides that which particular stage the organization process is, and it also gives us the detail of immediate areas of concern, which is AR invoice creation to print in this. So as we have seen during the process mining stage, that it gives the process mining within minutes, or gives the idea of bottlenecks within minutes. The foresight will also give the insight within this particular process map, which is so as we have seen, there are majorly three areas where we need to focus. That is sending invoice to customer, send once the invoice is sent to the customer, the collection cycle, and the receipt creation to application. So we can also see the leg over here that sending invoice to customer takes on an average 9 days. Send invoice to receipt is around, the collection cycle is around 63 days, and once the money is received, the receipt is created. The receipt application to transaction also takes about 17 days. So these are the process map insight which the foresight report gives. And this is the most interesting part of the report, which is the detailed report outcome. It talks about on the different lenses, like what is the data quality, what is the efficiency, what is the process quality. And it does not just talk about at a summarized level, it gives us the detailed view that on which category, what is the metric value, compare it against the benchmark, also gives us the impact. So as we have seen, the receipt application cycle time in the current quarter is, let's say, 17 days. In the previous quarter, it is around 18 days. So there is a positive trend, but still as compared to benchmark, which is 3 days, it is still higher, which is 17 days currently. The last column indicates the impact, which is like the lengthy application cycle distort AR aging report and obstruct the two state of outstanding debt. Similarly, as we can see, there are multiple outcomes, or let's say multiple metrics KPIs, which is listed in the foresight report, matching it with the benchmark and gives the suggestion and gives the impact. Well, after that, it gives us the areas of concern in summary. Let's say there are multiple invoices with immediate payment term, collection cycle is delayed, receipt application cycle time is around 17 days, which we have seen during the process mining as well as in the foresight for Greystone, so on and so forth. The foresight report not just talk about the problem, it also talks about the quick solutions, which are kind of an actionable solution. So it talks about how the cash application automation help us to address this particular problem, so on and so forth. So again, as we have seen, firstly, the process mining tool, which gives us the insight within minutes. Then the next is the foresight, where we can deep dive a bit into those particular bottleneck. The next is the business intelligence. Now, let us look at how data analysis and insight is generated through Sage. Based on the process mining tool and the foresight, we can see that the core bottleneck in Greystone is related to the sending invoice to the customer, receipt creation, and application of receipt to the invoice. Sage is our internal reporting tool and analytical tool equipped with 500 plus embedded KPIs, enabling comprehensive and intelligent insight within minutes. The tool allows user to, and again, this tool is for the consultant, not the end users or the customer. The tool allows the consultant to analyze the data across multiple dimensions, such as business unit, ledger, and other customizable parameter. This particular business or the Sage tool also gives us the powerful slice and dice capability for doing the data analysis. And this flexibility helps in quickly identifying the process bottleneck, inefficiency, and root cause of the performance issue. Let me also run the quick video of this particular business analysis. So here we can see that the average application days is 17 days. The same issue that we have seen at the process mining level, we can also see at the foresight and the business intelligence. However, the difference is we can at the process mining, we are seeing it within a few minutes at a very high level. Whereas in the second level, in the foresight, we are seeing the similar data, comparing it with the benchmark, and specifically here in the business intelligence, the same data we are analyzing at a very granular level to identify the actual issue and the root cause. We can slice and dice the data at the business unit, ledger, and several other parameters. Not just that, we can drill down the any particular detail report to a transaction at a granular level of detail. Similarly, similarly this particular Sage tool provides the transaction receipt exception, the feature utilized within the system, which is kind of a comprehensive view of complete order to cash cycle. This really helped us a lot in understanding the real issue of Greystone. After identifying the issue, we have also conducted the detailed interview of the users and leadership team to uncover the root cause of this particular bottleneck. And as a part of the second side of the value realization action, the next part is to ideate. In this process, we list all the insights which we have gathered during our analysis and also discuss alternative solution as per the Gravestone business processes. So we work closely with the business, we work closely with the Greystone in this case to ensure that the solutions that we are giving is right fit to the problem which the business have on hand. So as we have seen earlier during the process mining, the foresight, and in the data analytics, that the first and the core bottleneck which they have is the invoice communication cycle time. So invoice communication cycle time, which approximately takes 10 days for the Greystone against the industry standard of 3 days. The root cause that we understood after discussing with the business is the customer data management is not appropriate and there is a lack of automation in sending the transaction to the customer. The customer master data is not managed and recorded in the system appropriately, which creates the issues in the customer communication, due to which there are significant delay in the invoice creation and communication it with the customer. So that is where we understood the root cause behind why the invoice is not communicated on a timely basis. Talking about next, which is the collection cycle time. Now, the collection cycle time, the customer is not giving the money on time. The first root cause of this is the first, that is delay in communication to the customer. So if the business is not giving the invoices to the customer on time, definitely the customer will also delay the payment to the business. Secondly, missing the credit management business process within the system, which is kind of a manual. Now, if we talk about the collection cycle time, so that is the first root cause of delayed collection, is the credit controls are not defined at the customer master level, which leads to over exposure, leading to delayed payment and higher risk of bad debt. Effective credit management enables risk-based decision making. The business knows that how much credit is allowed to a particular customer or a group of customer if the efficiently the credit management is utilized within the system. Now talking about the next, which is the receipt application cycle time. So again, similarly as we have seen before, the once the receipt is created, once the customer gives the money, receipt is created in the system. However, the receipt is applied to the applicable transaction after 17 days on an average basis. This is quite a significant delay in application of the receipt. Again, what we understood the root cause after discussing with the business is insufficient information coming from the source. So the money is coming from the customer. However, the receiving team is not aware on from which customer it is coming, from which it is against which transaction, and the complete application of this particular receipt is manual. The important cause of delayed receipt application cycle, as I mentioned, it is the missing information. The customer statement and aging shows the invoice. Sorry. The customer statement and aging report shows the invoices as open, though it is already paid, which is kind of a reputational risk for the company. It also leads to frequent friction with the customer, and the customers are losing trust in the company as it is not operationally excellent. The whole receipt process is manual, and now organization wants to adopt the automation on this area. Talking about the delayed processing. Okay, again, that is manual. The manual intervention leads to delay in transaction creation and overall processing timeline. Next to talk about is the higher rejection in receivable interface. So the business has implemented end-to-end order to cash cycle, which starts from order management, then receivable invoice and receipt at the end. Here, as we see, 13% of the transactions are failing at the receivable interface level, which causes delay in invoice creation, and ultimately, as the invoices are not created, that further causes the delay in the communication collection. So it has the domino effect, that is, the invoice is not created on time, the invoice is also not communicated to the customer on time, collect the customer is not giving the money on time, so on and so forth. A number of transactions that were failing at the receivable interface due to various operational issues such as missing or incorrect data mapping and configuration gaps. This failure leads to delay in transaction processes and require additional manual intervention for the resolution. So these are the bottlenecks, which is the invoice communication cycle time, collection cycle time, the receipt application cycle time, which we have seen and understood that these are the bottlenecks for the Greystone as the business. After understanding the root cause or after understanding the bottlenecks based using our tools, we had conducted the meeting with the business and also identified what are the root causes. In order to ensure that we provide the right solution to the business, which is our part of next step in the second site. Now to talk about the implement. So implement is using the purpose methodology. We have discussed multiple solutions with the business, finalized the solution, and implemented it, which is a right fit for business. Okay. So during the implementation phase, as I mentioned, we engaged in detailed discussion with the Greystone's leadership team and the core business team to evaluate multiple solution approaches. And this solution approach range from leveraging Oracle solution, Oracle enhancement, developing AI agent studio using the Oracle Studio, implementing business process change, and deploying Orbrick's proprietary tools. This collaborative approach ensured that the final solution was well aligned with the Greystone's operational need and strategic objectives. Now, to talk about the solution in detail. Here, as you can see, the boxes are divided into different colors. The orange item represents the enhancement done within Oracle Fusion system, whereas the purple boxes represents AI agent deployed in Oracle AI Agent Studio and Smart Insights, which is Orbrick proprietary tool. As you can see here, the root cause that we have discussed, you can see that we have provided the solution against each particular root cause, be it, be it customer data management issue, be it manual application and insufficient information coming from the source, or be it weak collection process. To start with, the order management configuration challenges firstly on the Oracle front. Earlier, certain transactions such as credit memo were created directly in the receivables module, though the order management is in place, which leads to process inconsistency and deviation from the standard transaction cycle. After implementing the solution, most transactions are now routed through the order management module, resulting into a significant reduction in manual effort and substantial improvement in process efficiency. Again, similarly, to talk about the pricing and tax setup, so the revised pricing has been agreed with the customer but not appropriately configured within system. The sales agreements are not selected while creating the orders, so on and so forth. Apart from that, we have also provided the exception report using the Smart Insight, which is one of the module of Orbrick's proprietary tool that we are going to see further. So these are the challenges that we have identified and solved using this particular solution approaches, that now all the majority of the transactions are coming from the sales order instead of directly recording in the receivable module. Now, talking about the receiving part or the receipt part. The manual nature of receipt creation and application process previously led to missing critical data fields, and which causes delay in receipt application and resulting multiple issues during the reconciliation as well as the period close. At the period close, the business is running here and there to find the right match or the right invoice to close the receipt. After implementing the automated solution, there has been a significant improvement in the receipt application cycle, which ensures better accuracy, faster processing, and smooth period close activity. The benefit that the business has received is also the friction with the customer is also significantly reduced, because now their statement is showing those invoices which are actually open, not the other way around. Now, talking about the customer data management issue due to which the customer invoices are not communicated properly, there was a high risk of delayed payment and bad debts, which is around the credit management. So, now talking about the credit management, credit controls were not being utilized effectively earlier within the fusion, leading to overexposure for specific customer, delayed in collection, and increased risk of bad debt. As a part of the overall solution approach, the credit management functionality within the O2C cycle was implemented and optimized. This resulted into improved credit discipline, a more efficient customer payment cycle, which ultimately resulted into noticeable reduction in days sales outstanding, which is DSO. Apart from enabling whatever features which is needed within Oracle, the solution also involved the optimal utilization of the advanced technology such as the AI agent. Here we have created the AI agent for transaction inquiries. This automation significantly reduced the manual intervention to go and check the invoices which are open for specific customer, enhanced information accessibility, and contributed to improved overall operational efficiency. Apart from this, we have also enabled the Redwood pages where applicable to further simplify and streamline various processes. Overall, this solution has transformed the way business operates by providing the accurate and actionable data for informed decision making rather than relying on instinct based judgment. Additionally, it enhanced the overall customer experience through greater process of efficiency and transparency. So these are the solution that has been provided to address the bottleneck and its root causes. Here, let me show you how the Smart Insight works. which is Orbrick, a component of Orbrick's product stack, assists users in identifying exception during transaction creation. If the data entry operator does not correct the issue, the approver also receives similar insight for necessary action. Additionally, Orbrick generates and sends a weekly exception report to managers, ensuring that continuous monitoring and proactive actions are taken for the resolution of recurring issues. This is not exactly related to the problem that we have discussed with the Greystone, but it exhibits how Orbrick can provide smart insight while creating the transaction. Let me play the video to understand how that works. So there are scenarios in Oracle Fusion Order Management where sales order gets stuck during the reservation step, though the system initially shows that the on-hand quantity is available. To prevent such reservation error, the Orbrick on-hand availability nudge can be utilized, which helps to reduce the friction with the customer once sales order is confirmed. As we see here, the user is entering the header level information while creating the sales order. Once the user selects the item and the user clicks on the nudge at the order entry page, it provides real-time visibility of the item on hand and reservable quantity across the organization. So as we see here, the user is entering the details of the item. And as the user has clicked on the nudge, it is showing that what is the quantity which this order is requesting, what is the on-hand quantity across all the organization, what are the quantities which are reserved previously with against the other order, and what are the quantities which are available to reserve on this particular order. This helps user to validate the availability of the item before submitting the order, ensuring smoother fulfillment and reducing reservation failure. Again, this helps in reducing the friction with the customer, that once the order is confirmed, communicated with the customer, the business ensures that there are no issues which are coming at the reservation step. Now, the last step of this particular second site is iterate. Let me show what happens in this particular phase. We have also implemented Hindsight for Greystone, which provides the monitoring of measurable outcome. Continuous improvement and monitoring lie at the core of every high performing business, ensuring that the efficiency gains are not one time achievement but a sustained discipline. By systematically tracking performance metric and identifying the process bottleneck, organization can transform data into actionable insight that we have seen that drives measurable and lasting impact. In today's dynamic environment, process excellence is no longer defined by automation alone, but by organization ability to adapt, learn, and evolve continuously. Let me let let me play the video so that we can see how the hindsight works in action. As you can see, it is proactive outcome monitoring. The hindsight phase enables Greystone's key user to measure and track improved KPIs in line with the business requirement. This represents the proactive monitoring stage where key users and decision makers can validate post implementation outcome, which is a DSO in case of Greystone. As compared to the other tools which are specifically meant for our consultant to use, Hindsight is used by the key users of Greystone, which is a business. The approach reflects our complete end-to-end methodology, beginning with the identification of the issue by our tools, user interview, understanding the root causes, designing and implementing right solution in close working with the business, in close collaboration with business leaders, business users, and finally providing a platform for continuous measurement to ensure sustained improvement. Together, the stages form a closed loop improvement cycle from insight to execution to measurable impact. Now, what we have seen is the tangible impact of the solution that has been implemented. So, we have seen how the issues are uncovered, how the detailing has been done, by the user interviews, how the root cause of the bottlenecks are identified, and how working closely with the business, we have given the right kind of solution that the outcome of the business is achieved. Apart from the tangible result and the monetary cash flow unlock which we have seen, there are also other intangible results that we have seen post change. Firstly and importantly, market reputation. The improvement in the internal operations led to enhanced market reputation and strengthened customer relationship. All the documents, all the statements which the business is now sending to the customer is showing the right invoices which are open and right invoices which are already paid. This has increased not just the market reputation but also the trust of the customer in the business. Apart from that, the legal and regulatory compliance is also improved. As we have streamlined overall order to cash process, the business in now can do more accurate and timely reporting. Their financials are now true and fair to an extent as the overall O2C cycle is improved. Further, last but not the least, the employee satisfaction has increased as the team can now focus their time on more strategic and value driven activities rather than manual and repetitive tasks. So, these are the intangible benefits that the business has seen post this particular implementation. So that is what we intend to cover. To just to reiterate, to start with, we have seen the value realization action, how we have identified the issue using our proprietary tools, and how we have identified the root cause of that by doing the interview with the key users and the leaders of the business. Lastly, how we have worked with the business collaboratively and ensured that the solutions are effective and meeting the business needs. Our process not just stops at the implementation, but we believe that the continuous monitoring is the key. And that is where we also provide the hindsight using which the business users can see the outcome, they can measure the outcome, how it has improved, how it is currently after the implementing the solution. Now we are opening the stage if there are any questions from the participants. So I will stop sharing my screen for a moment to understand if there are any questions from the participants.
It sounds like you did such a good job explaining it, Bhumish, that it's very clear to everybody.
Thank you, Victoria. Let me share my screen back with the last slide.
Rounds of applause coming in.
Thank you. Yes, Victoria, if you want to speak a bit about.
Yeah, so thank you very much, everybody, for joining us. If you enjoyed the presentation and the knowledge sharing that we did, you can learn a little bit more by going to the website or by using the QR code to take your own little mini maturity self-assessment now, and then obviously reaching out to us at the end. But thank you very much for your time, everybody.
Thank you, everyone, for taking the time out for the session. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you. Bye.